A big crowd at the Valley this afternoon for this meeting of two top-6 sides. Charlton unbeaten in the Championship. Watford will be hoping Oscar Garcia can today guide the Hornets to their 5th league victory out of 6 this season. Icelandic international Johan Berg Gudmundsson has recovered from a groin problem suffered while with his country last week and takes his place in an unchanged Charlton team. Igor Vetekele only returned from playing for Angola yesterday. The striker has 5 goals in 5 championship appearances so far this season. Mattia Vidra replaces the injured Fernando Forestieri up front for Watford. That's one of 3 changes. Tommy Hoban comes in for the suspended Tamas at the back. Gianni Munari is also injured. Keith Andrews was due to start, but he was injured in the warm-up, so Lewis McGugan comes in instead. Ball forward to Vetekele, down in the area, penalty kick. Just over 90 seconds played. Aurelio Gomez with a yellow card for the foul on Vetekele. Ball through from Cousins. Watford claiming that the Charlton man was already on his way down. Yoni Boyens has already scored twice from the spot this season. The Belgian, on loan from Standard Liège, puts Charlton in front. Gomez goes the wrong way. And it's a fantastic start for the Addicts. One back by Boyens. Vetekele. Away was by Ekstrand. But Watford have a chance here. Deeney! Troy Deeney with the opportunity to bring Watford back on level terms almost immediately. Now, does this strike the post? Yes, it does. 10 minutes played at the Valley, and in accordance with the family of David White, a minute's applause begins for the late Charlton striker, who sadly died this week, aged 43. David White, who scored 35 goals in 106 appearances for Charlton between 1992 and 1997. Here's Beacon. Jackson dispossessed. Abdi finds Vidra, who leaves it for Troy Deeney. Henderson right behind the shot. Mattia Vidra's role here crucial as he let that ball roll. Henderson able to watch it all the way though. Made wide by Ekstrand. Toza. Chase on here for Deeney, who's in behind Ben Haim. Deeney goes down. Watford fans howling for a penalty. But unlike Charlton, in the opening minutes, Watford do not get a spot kick. Anya on the charge. Able to get the cross in as well. And Abdi Anya just picking himself up a little slowly, having collided there with the advertising hoardings. Watford corner. Charlton with virtually everybody back to try and keep it at bay. Long range shot from Anya. Henderson saw it late. Terrific effort. Here's the new man, Musa. Finds the other substitute, Wilson. Vetekele's in the middle. Couldn't keep his header down. Igor Vetekele has scored both goals for Charlton in the 2-2 draw at Brighton a fortnight ago. He scored in 4 of his 5 championship appearances prior to today. Paredes. Toza. Anya. Toza's ball in. Dyer! Well, how much was Slory Wilson aware of Lloyd Dyer's presence there? The deep cross, and Dyer was suddenly in and behind the Charlton man. Abdi, picked up here by Dyer. Anya. Dyer. Oh, almost an own goal, and in surely. Troy Deeney flags up on the far side. It doesn't count. And the offside may well have been against Lloyd Dyer. Deeney put the ball in. Well, let's have a look here. Watch the run here on the left of your picture from Dyer. Is he offside? Came off the post. Deeney put it in, but Watford's celebrations cut short by the flag on the far side. Buda. Half cleared by Ben Haim. Dyer. We're going to put it onto his left foot. Oh, got in the way there with Eghalo. Might drop here. Terrific shot. Daniel Tozer with the effort, and Henderson keeps it out with his best save of the afternoon. Absolutely no doubt about that from the goalkeeper. Superbly struck. Taken well by Ekstrand. Abdi. Ekstrand. Dyer. Chance here. Terrific goalkeeping from Henderson. And again, Stephen Henderson preserves Charlton's lead. Suddenly there was a man over. Dyer was that man. Henderson spreads himself wide and is able to make the block. Away by BK. Shot from distance from Tozer. Tozer again. He's got Anya to his right. Anya's cross. The reaction of the Watford players tells you all you need to know. It was set up so nicely for Anya. Got it all wrong.
I'm happy today that we held on. In Brighton, we gave it away last minute in injury time. And today, with a great crowd, a lot of people who backed us up, it's a massive result, and we're very happy. But okay, we need to enjoy it now for a few hours, me as a manager, and then focus already on Tuesday, Wolverhampton.
We had much more possession, because if you have possession but you don't create chances, it's for nothing. But we had 15 shots on target, and then it was our day in front of goal. I'm sure on another day we will have been comfortable winners.
Meetings describes the action.
Kept in well by Donaldson. Plenty of room now for Shea. Grounds the left back on the overlap. Shea goes for goal. Stings the hands of Silvestri. Well, a confident start for the Birmingham debutant, Brek Shea. Good work from Shea. Oh, it's an awkward header. Flashes just wide off the head of Belushi. Oh, his heart must have been in his mouth there. Misreads this horribly. This is Brek Shea. Thomas. Shea again. And Wes Thomas! Goal for Birmingham! Superbly dispatched by Wes Thomas. Snapped into the feet of Wes Thomas by Shea, opened his body out and drilled it unerringly beyond the helpless Marco Silvestri. Dukara can't set up the shooting opportunity. It was Poor squandering of possession there by Suleiman Dakara. Here's Gray. Decent save from Silvestri. Only one thing on his mind here, Gray. Belushi, Bianchi. No pressure on Ardley, it's not a good header. In goes Mowat, and a goal for Leeds. The 19-year-old gets his first goal of the season. Poor header here from Neil Ardley. Really should have been clearing the penalty area better than that. And he beats the ground in frustration, Ardley, as Mowat finds the corner of the net. 1-1. Well, he'll be heartened, Neil Redfern, by the second half performance as we move in closer to the full-time job. Great. Always looks to take on defenders. He's done so again. It's a brilliant run. Any contact? No. And there's going to be a yellow card here for Demarai Gray. Callis, the Birmingham captain, is certain that it should have been a penalty. Gray looks a little bit sheepish, if I'm going to be truthful. Lovely run from Gray. Well, he's trying to invite the challenge out of Belushi, who took his leg away, and the referee has called that perfectly. Here's Gray again. Another dynamic run all the way. Big save from Silvestri. What an exciting player Demarai Gray looks. So positive, cutting a swathe through that Leeds United defence. And Silvestri saves the away side there. This is Dukara. Antonucci finding spaces here, Leeds. Antonucci loses out to Edgar. And away come Birmingham, and Edgar has completed his run forward here to support Donaldson, who's got Cottrell on the outside. Edgar's in the box now, the big centre-back. Oh, there was the chance to win it for Birmingham City. And Wes Thomas at the far post can't deliver. Dukara breaks on now for Leeds. Can they steal it? 3 against 3. It's Rudy Austin! Denied by Randolph. What a dramatic finish at St Andrews. Donaldson beyond the 3 extra minutes now. And it's all over. Final score. It is finished. Birmingham City 1, Leeds United 1.
Should you have had a penalty late on?
Without a doubt. I've seen it again. I know the boy. He doesn't foul, he doesn't dive at any time. The senior players tackle him hard in training, and he's very competitive. He stays on his feet. The ball's past the defender without the defender getting any kind of touch. And the defender's left his leg dangling. And the only way my lad can get out of the way without touching the players if he jumps 10 foot.
You keep getting results, so everybody drags your name in to wanting the job or possibly wanting the job. Do you?
Well, I think how I've looked at it, and I think the best way to do it all along is that I'm doing it for him. I'm helping him out. There's no pressure on me. You know, I'm trying to do the best for the club and and for the players. And I have to say the players have been brilliant. And I don't need to give an answer either way. It's not to that point yet.
I just think the manager and the chairman should get together so people know what's happening. And I think it's not ethical to actually be interviewing other managers while there's still a manager in situ.
We are giving him all the support, he deserves it. We haven't won a game under him, but it's not through his fault, it's because he hasn't had the backing of the chairman.
I'd keep Riga. I think if we let him have time, I think he's capable of keeping us up. So yeah, I think he's the right man for the job.
Maybe this is what they meant by being thrown to the wolves. He may have a lack of support from the boardroom, but Jose Riga's getting plenty from the terraces. His players are rallying round him too, sticking together to keep the visitors at bay. Joe Lewis pulling out all the stops to deny Michael Jacobs. That said, Wolves, who could have gone top with a win, could have been in front by half-time, but Rajiv Van La Parra's cross-come shot cannon back off the woodwork. That exact same goal frame would prevent Blackpool from ending a run of 6 straight defeats in the best possible way. Niall Ranger thwarted this time. But if Pool's chairman Carl Oyston was trying to make a point with his actions this week, perhaps the manager has just made his.
I can only say one thing, that in around 25 years of coaching, I had received no one single remark about my professionalism, and I think that even today I give the proof that I'm a professional, total professional. That's the only thing I can say.
This was the quintessential game of two halves. Cardiff were cruising at the break, with Norwich simply not at the races. Joe Rowles steering the Bluebirds into a 4th-minute lead. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer felt the first 45 minutes were possibly the best he'd seen from his side this season, and their second goal was certainly very easy on the eye, as Aron Gunnarsson applied a crisp finish to a neat move. It may well have continued to be a good day for Cardiff had they made it 3 straight after the break, but John Ruddy's save from Federico Makeda proved pivotal. Neil Adams admitted he gave his players a rocket at half-time, and Martin Olsson fired them back into the match early in the second half. Cardiff came from behind to win the Premier League game here between the sides last season, but it was the Canaries who turned the tables on this occasion. Newly appointed captain David Marshall did well to keep out Cameron Jerome, but Wes Hoolahan mopped up the rebound. Next, a combination of quick Norwich thinking and sleepy Cardiff defending allowed Michael Turner to get the final touch after some top work from Alex Tettey. And while there'd been plenty of attention on the former Canaries now at Cardiff ahead of the game, it was an ex-Bluebird who had the final word, as Jerome charged through late on to condemn the hosts to only their 2nd defeat of the season.
We wanted to make sure that we started second half bright, and we did. We had a fantastic chance, great save by John Ruddy, and then but football changes quickly.
The pleasing thing is the way they rolled the sleeves up then and went and put it right, basically, and that was down to them.
After a bright start to the season and unbeaten on the road since March, Millwall were confident of a result at Portman Road. But while the Lions dominated early on, they were left with nothing to show for it. The away side should have taken the lead when Martin Wolford's shot rebounded to Jermaine Easter. His miss was the turning point. Ipswich grew into the game after that narrow escape. David Ford was forced into action by Daryl Murphy. Without a win in 5 League and Cup games, Town will be glad that they stayed strong in the face of Premier League bids for David McGoldrick. He broke the deadlock here. A deflected strike from the £8 million rated striker gave Mick McCarthy's side a slender lead at the break. They doubled it just after the hour. A scrambled goal from Murphy ended Millwall's resistance. After the game, Ian Holloway expressed concern at how his side lost belief after Ipswich had edged ahead. And while Scott McDonald brought a save out of Dean Gherkin, there was nothing to stop Ipswich recording their first win since the opening day of the season.
I don't know when there's a good or a bad time to score, but it certainly changes the dynamic of the dressing room, certainly for me and for Ollie, and made my half-time team talk easier.
I spoke at half-time, tried to muster the troops like I normally do, and unfortunately today that was one of them.
As Sami Hyypiä's Brighton team takes shape, his latest business was to secure the future of one of the players he inherited, adding an extra year to Andrew Croft's contract. And the wholehearted midfielder soon showed why the new manager rates him, inches from an opener at Griffin Park. A lively start to a fabulous match. Alan Judge's superb pass picking out Moses Odebejo, whose finish couldn't have been better placed. So, first blood Brentford against the run of play, and Brighton's eagerness to get back on the attack almost cost them dear. A wayward throw from David Stockdale led to the keeper atoning for his mistake by blocking out Andre Gray.
By now, the home side were on top, and the second goal they'd threatened arrived just past the half hour. Jake Bidwell's cross touched in by Gray during a 20-minute spell of flowing football that Brentford boss Mark Warburton rated his team's best yet since promotion. Brighton weren't finished though, back in business through skipper Gordon Greer. Hoopier's attacking approach is making for some thrilling matches, though some of the team's defending has the Finn tearing his hair out. Bidwell's determination knew no bounds, and he was able to get to the byline for his second assist. Jonathan Douglas restoring Brentford's 2-goal cushion. Just one defeat so far for the London club, and 3 wins out of 4 now, though they were sweating on this one right to the end. João Teixeira's fancy footwork and Danny Holler's delicious strike kept Albion in contention, but they couldn't avoid a first defeat in 4 league matches.
Great game for the neutral. Not so good for the coaching staff, but a welcome 3 points. It was a very open game. We knew it would be beforehand. 2 teams who want to go and dominate the football, but I thought it was a well-deserved victory today.
Time to see if the 2-week break had done Bolton any good. Still without a win and on the back of 3 straight league defeats, the patience of the locals is being severely tested. A buoyant Sheffield Wednesday arrived looking to add to their misery. At times the home team were living on their nerves. With Andy Lonergan beaten, Matt Mills raced to the rescue to prevent Chris Maguire from giving Wednesday the lead before the Scot wasted a second chance. 3 of Wednesday's 4 wins this season have come away from Hillsborough. In the second half, Joe Mattock went close as Bolton survived another scare. Despite making 6 changes to the team that lost at Leeds a fortnight ago, Dougie Freedman's men rarely threatened. When they did, Jay Spearing failed to really test Kieran Westwood. In total, the Owls had 24 attempts on goal, but only 4 of those on target. Liam Palmer's effort was hit sweetly enough, but Lonergan was equal to it. That lack of a ruthless streak ended up costing the Yorkshire club all 3 points. Tom Lee's header cleared off the line by Dean Moxey, which merely added to their frustration.
We've come to Bolton, played them off the park. You've got to be more ruthless in goal. We've had several good chances to get our noses in front. It's definitely 2 points dropped.
After a forgettable first half, the action picked up early on in the second period on the south coast. Bournemouth boss Eddie Howe had praised the partnership between Jan Kermorgant and Callum Wilson, and the pair would have produced the opening goal had Wilson not got his footwork wrong. The informed striker had the chance to make amends for the miss just minutes later, but after showing great pace and touch, he couldn't quite squeeze in his 6th of the season. Instead, Steve Cook popped up with his second goal in 3 league games when he connected with Matt Ritchie's cross. Goals have been a major problem for Rotherham. They travelled to Bournemouth with just 2 in the Championship all season, the fewest in the division. Substitute Alex Revel came close to improving that total before an unlikely source did add another into their account. Jordan Bowery's stoppage-time header was his first goal since scoring against the Millers for Chesterfield back in 2012. But the headlines were nearly snatched away from him by Andrew Sermon, with the deadline day signing from Norwich forcing Adam Collin into a smart stop.
To concede so late when it looked like we had the points in the bag is hugely frustrating. It was always going to be a difficult game, we expected that. Rotherham made it difficult for us, chances were at a premium, but once we got our noses in front, you'd expect us to win the game.
Blackburn remain among the early season pace setters, but they did it the hard way against Wigan. The key incident of the first half saw Callum McManaman make sure that he fell over the outstretched leg of Alex Baptiste, a penalty for Wigan. Even Ramis was wasteful from the spot. Still, the Latics might have taken the lead into half-time. McManaman again, this time forcing a save out of Paul Robinson. Wigan did get their reward 6 minutes into the second half. James Perch getting his first league goal for the club, thanks in part to debutant Andy Delort's attempted flick. But Blackburn are so difficult to beat at home and wiped out the Wigan lead within moments. Man of the match Ben Marshall lashing in his first goal of the season. A third goal in 5 minutes followed from a disputed free kick. Jordan Rhodes was on target from Craig Conway's delivery. And suddenly, Rovers were heading for a 9th consecutive game unbeaten at Ewood Park, with Marshall very much the star of the show. Wigan was soon being overrun. Only Scott Carson kept the score down. Luke Varney denied by the goalkeeper's studs. But the third goal was on the way. Marshall capping his memorable display with a goal hailed by his manager as being of Premier League quality.
He's got fabulous technique, and he can do that. And unfortunately for us today, he scored two, and I think Carson made an outstanding save from his another one. But we've encouraged him to do that, and that should give him a massive boost.
At the Madejski Stadium, two strikers took their bow, and both debuts were memorable. Glenn Murray's for the right reasons. On loan from Crystal Palace, he took just 15 minutes to find the net, shortly before Fulham's new man Matt Smith made his mark on Hope Akpan. Referee Mike Jones went straight for the red card. Who'd have thought Fulham's wretched start to the season could get even worse? Felix Magath's depleted team tried to turn the tide. Chris David forcing Adam Federici to go full length as they reacted to the early setbacks. But the Royals soon reasserted their authority, well on top in the second half. Simon Cox allowing Gabor Kirai to reintroduce himself to English fans with a sharp stop. The former Palace keeper did even better to prevent Jake Taylor from stretching Reading's lead, his reflexes undiminished at the age of 38. But the man drafted in from Munich to add experience at the back looked less reliable as Murray made himself an instant Reading hero. Wary of pushing the striker too hard after a long time without regular football, Murray was subbed before he could complete a hat-trick. His replacement, Pavel Pogrebniak, close to adding the third himself. Ultimately, that honour fell to the Russians' fellow sub Nick Blackman, who confirmed Fulham's fifth defeat in 6 winless matches 5 minutes from time, on a day when the travelling fans called for Magath's dismissal.
A return to work for one of football's most likeable characters. Chris Powell receiving a big Yorkshire welcome on his first day in the Huddersfield hot seat. His mission to revive the fortunes of a club had won just once so far. Former Borough man Jacob Butterfield seemed up for the challenge, keeping Dimi Konstantopoulos on his toes. At times it was scrappy, until Grant Ledbetter set his sights with pinpoint precision. A beauty, leaving 3,000 travelling Teessiders all smiles. After a positive start to the campaign, Aitor Karanka's men were looking to avoid a third successive league defeat. Adam Clayton should have made a name for himself on his return to his old stomping ground. Borough failed to build on their lead, and 4 minutes from the end, Huddersfield were level. John Stead, on as a first-half sub for the injured James Vaughan, appeared to have guaranteed his new boss a point. But in a late twist, town defender Tommy Smith sent Adam Reach sprawling in the box. And having put away 3 penalties already this season, there was only one man for the job. Ledbetter holding his nerve to rack up his 6th goal in League and Cup to spoil Powell's day.
Well, I've learned a lot about my players, not only today, but in the week I've had them. They care, they want to do well, and obviously it's been a tough time for us. And in the game today, we worked really hard to get ourselves back in it against a good Middlesbrough side, but it was just disappointing the way it ended. We shouldn't have done that. It's a mistake that really shouldn't have happened.
Frustrated rather than disappointed. That was how Darren Ferguson summed up this rare off day for the Posh. It certainly could have been worse. On another day, Liam Noble's shot might have crept in. Peterborough had won 5 out of 6 in League One, but couldn't find a way past Ben Alnwick. Jack Baldwin went closest, as Peterborough's finishing failed to match the quality of their approach play.
Bristol City replaced Peterborough at the top of the table after cruising to a 3rd straight win, although they were given more than a helping hand by the Doncaster defence. Aaron Wilbraham pouncing for his 5th goal of the season early on, after Rovers wasted numerous opportunities to get the ball away. Paul Dickoff's side almost paid the price for failing to clear their lines again soon after, when Joe Bryan came within inches of doubling the Robins lead. But they didn't have too much longer to wait until their 2nd goal arrived, as the Donny backline offered up another gift. Some lovely link-up play set Kieran Agard away, but it looked like the move would come to nothing when Wilbraham didn't connect with the cross. Enter Cedric Avina, who presented a chance to Mark Little. And there seemed little chance for Rovers when they lost Harry Forrester shortly after half-time. Already booked early on for diving, his kick in anger proved extremely costly. Dickoff revealed Forrester apologised to his teammates after the game, with his manager calling his actions silly and unprofessional. Understandably, Dickoff was also unhappy with all of the goals his side conceded. Their final act of self-destruction coming 8 minutes from time, as Brian was allowed to snatch possession away, and he teed up Agard, who bagged his first goal for the Robins since joining from Rotherham over the summer.
I'd rather be at the top of the table than bottom of the table. So if someone says you're up there to be shot at, I'm not really too bothered about that. I'd rather be up there to be shot at than bottom of the league, because when you're bottom of the league, everybody wants to shoot at you as well.
Crawley boss John Gregory promised better after the 4-0 humiliation at the hands of Rochdale, but you could still forgive the home faithful for covering their eyes when Fleetwood attacked, especially when Jamie Proctor went close. But Fleetwood's early season momentum has stalled. They haven't won in the league since mid-August and slipped to a third successive defeat courtesy of a beauty. Isel McLeod combining with Jimmy Smith to score his third of the season, and he won't get too many better than that.
Barnsley were defending a 5-game unbeaten run, goals galore at Oakwell, where the home side who'd hit a post conceded. Mark Randall's strike was parried, and Benny Kofobe took his tally to 4 in 3 with a follow-up for the MK Dons. And they'd established a comfortable cushion by the interval as Samir Carruthers weighed in with the all-important contribution. They're improving all the time. A club that had embarrassed Manchester United in the Capital One Cup were once again illustrating their potential. The goal scorer was involved in their third, another well-worked effort. Dele Alli finished off the move. He looks a fine prospect. Manager Carl Robinson introduced Will Grigg to the fray, and an MK Dons fourth followed. Grigg claimed it. The Tykes again caught out of the back and looked to be heading for a damaging defeat. Another substitute, Ben Reeves, added to Barnsley's problems with the fifth of the afternoon. The art of goal scoring appeared all too easy, and a comeback looked highly unlikely. There was to be late drama though. The MK Dons had kept 4 consecutive clean sheets, but that was about to change. August Player of the Month for League One, Conor Hourihane scored twice. Both were special efforts. Having made it 4 goals in 4 league games, this strike brought it back to 5-2. They scored a third in stoppage time. No shortage of entertainment in this high-scoring affair. Devante Cole completed the scoring, but Barnsley have been left with much too much to do.
Bradford are on a rotten run in front of their own fans. Against Swindon, they were grateful for the award of a third-minute penalty. Keeper Wes Fotheringham bringing down Billy Clark on a lively opening to the game. But still Bradford's luck was out. Fotheringham guessed correctly and pulled off a fantastic save from Alan Sheehan's spot kick. The Bantams were unbowed and did take the lead 7 minutes later. An enterprising run and perfect cross from Mark Yates saw Louis Thompson put through his own net, although Jason Kennedy may try to claim it as one of his own. Bradford's problems with set pieces cost them this game. 2 goals from Jonathan Obika, a deadline day signing from Spurs, turned the game on its head. Both came from corners, meaning 4 of the last 5 goals the Bantams have conceded have come from dead ball situations. Bradford were far better value going forward, but found Fotheringham in superb form. His save from Stephen Darby's header ensured a 3rd straight league defeat at home. That's a first under the reign of Phil Parkinson. It all proved too much for Sheehan. He was sent off in injury time for taking a sly dig at Rafael Rossi Branco. And while Bantams fans thought the Argentinian made the most of it, Parkinson later called Sheehan's loss of discipline unacceptable.
Russ Wilcox's half-time team talk had the desired effect, with Scunthorpe taking the lead just 29 seconds after the break. Paddy Madden finishing off the neat move. Chesterfield had a glorious chance to level just a few minutes later when Miguel Angel Llera left an arm swinging carelessly in the box. But Spire-Wright's top scorer Owen Doyle was just a fraction too high from 12 yards. Doyle didn't let the disappointments of that linger for long though, clinically crashing home a cross from new signing Sam Clucas. And that seemed to get the Irishman in the mood, as he scored his second goal in the space of just 9 minutes, following an inch-perfect pass from Daniel Johnson. And there was certain to be no repeat of Chesterfield's Johnston's Paint Trophy defeat to the Iron earlier this month, when Doyle made it a hat-trick not long after that, drawing a foul from Niall Canavan, which allowed him to rectify matters from the spot. These two were promoted together last season, but already look leagues apart so far this time around. The icing on the Chesterfield cake was provided by Sam Morsey with just a couple of minutes left to play. Again, it involved a lovely pass from Johnson, and Morsey's finish wasn't too bad either.
Credit to Chesterfield, they took their chances when they come along, but we've got to be a lot better than that. We've got to manage games and periods in games better than that, and we crumbled and fell apart a little bit, and very disappointed.
Walsall hadn't won in the league since March and must have feared the worst when unbeaten Preston rolled into town, but fortunately for them, Romain Sawyers had other ideas. That was only Walsall's 4th league goal of the campaign, while Preston have been more prolific, especially Joe Garner, who matched Walsall's team tally with his 4th of the campaign, which also happened to be a belter. But the home side weren't to be denied. Anthony Ford seemed to have the freedom of Walsall before teeing up Tom Bradshaw for a clinical finish just after half-time. Preston's frustration boiled over in the 69th minute when Jordan Hugill was involved in a tangle with Andy Butler and appeared to react with a headbutt. Referee Jeff Eltringham was certainly in no doubt as he produced a straight red. And the home side made the most of their advantage, dolloping icing on the cake when Paul Downing rounded off a priceless win.
Having made a winning return to the Ricoh Arena, Coventry went in search of back-to-back home wins. They went ahead from a Jim O'Brien corner, met by the head of Reda Johnson. The Sky Blues were the initiative, and O'Brien can count himself unfortunate not to strengthen their hold on the match. Chris Whelan, the oval goal, was beaten, only for the ball to cannon back off the bar. The Glovers were also out of luck when AJ Leach-Smith, who'd scored his first goal for the club at Bradford a week earlier, almost repeated the feat. They levelled when Sam Foley reacted quickest to Jack Price's perfectly weighted through ball, and there was a prospect of a point from their Midlands visit. But it wasn't to be. Frank Nouble couldn't find a way past the visiting keeper, but Simeon Jackson could. Back from international duty, Jackson, who'd been among the substitutes, ensured Coventry's unbeaten record stretched to 7 games.
A triumph of sorts for Gillingham, their first point away from home this season. It might have been all 3 at Oldham, but Cody MacDonald had his shot saved at point-blank range by Paul Chubka. Without top scorer Jonathan Fort, Oldham lacked presence in front of goal. Substitute Amari Morgan-Smith missed this one. Fort surely wouldn't have.
After comfortable wins in their last 2 away games, Rochdale would have arrived with a spring in their step, and Ian Henderson's wonderful effort almost had them on course for another enjoyable road trip. Instead, the Blades snatched it late on to make it 3 wins from their last 4 in the league. Jamal Campbell-Rice's industry and a hefty deflection of Stephen Dawson, seeing the ball loop beyond Conrad Logan with 6 minutes to play.
When you're enduring your worst start for 63 years, the last thing you need is to be down to 10 men at the end of the first half. But that's exactly what Colchester faced when their skipper Magnus Okuwangai got a straight red for a rash challenge on David Mooney. But backs against the wall seemed to really bring the best out of the U's, and they got their reward when Sanchez Watt showed pace and power to put the visitors in front. Leyton Orient boss Russell Slade admitted afterwards his job is on the line if the O's lose at Notts County on Tuesday, and defending is clearly a priority. Freddie Sears rounded off Colchester's first league win of the campaign with ease, while these are more difficult times for Leyton Orient.
Crewe had yet to pick up a single league point. Their manager Steve Davis was feeling the pressure, the club's worst start in 33 years. George Ray made the most of some poor Port Vale defending to put the Alex in command. Vale have struggled on their travels for some time now, and they conceded a second. Matt Tootle's cross picked out for Dane Oliver, and it was looking a long way back for Mickey Adams' team. Their consolation came from the penalty spot. Ray impeded Jordan Slew's route to goal, and Slew scored for a second consecutive game. It wasn't enough. Port Vale's form is cause for concern.
And laid my cards. I'ma go out fighting, leave my scars.
As peaks and troughs in football go, Exeter City have had more than their fair share in recent months. Supporter-owned, so forced to live within their means, they spent most of the close season under a transfer embargo, and for the opening game of the campaign had to re-register their 41-year-old manager for bench duty. But it was also a summer in which they played 3 prestigious friendlies in Brazil to commemorate providing the opposition for the country's first ever international match back in 1914. 2 of the club's academy starlets joined the Premier League's elite in the England under-20 squad, and the Football League's longest-serving manager started his 9th season in charge, which is 6 times longer than English football's current average tenure. I have to say, you've excelled yourself today. Exquisite.
It's business day. As per normal, it's been a very unusual summer. I mean, we finished the season, 10 players moved on. We didn't sign anybody because of our embargo. The embargo is not through bad business, just cash flow. Then we go to Brazil, which was a very unusual pre-season tour. The football was fantastic, the logistics were a nightmare. We came back with 4 or 5 players seriously ill. Managed to sign 2 players in August, and we started the season very badly.
Well, it's amazing who you meet at the football. Exeter City, I'd never have put it together. Go on, explain.
I moved down here about 22 years ago. I used to support Chelsea. I always saw Exeter as a kind of joke team, and they were going to get knocked out of the league one year, and I came to watch it because I thought last game of the year, nice to see them get kicked out, and I couldn't get in, and I was watching from outside, stood in a shopping trolley, and it was exciting. We don't have cheats, we don't have any cheats, we don't have rich people falling over for money here. You know, we have proper footballers who like to play the game. We've got a great manager in Paul who kind of instills that into them.
We haven't got a lot here. We don't own our stadium, we don't own our training ground, but we have a lot of good people, and over the course of time that stands you in good stead.
There will be highs and lows, and it'll take a little while to reshape teams, and well documented our youngsters that are coming through, 2 or 3 exceptional ones and more behind them. So yes, our fans have to be patient.
I had a season ticket at Chelsea for 10 years, and this is 5 times as much fun. It's just without comparison.
As much as it feels pretty miserable to be lying bottom of the league, we are only into September. There's a long season ahead of us, and we have to be patient, and I'm sure we'll do what's necessary.
Paul Tisdale's long wait for a first win of the season goes on. He must have thought this was going to be his day. George Long in the Oxford goal brought down Alex Nichols. It was left for Graham Cummins to give the Grecians the early reward from the spot. But this has been a frustrating campaign for a club who need to rediscover a scoring touch, and soon they were unable to protect a slender lead. Joe Riley must take much of the credit for the Oxford equaliser. His run and cross was met by Callum O'Dowda, the first senior goal for the player. Exeter's best efforts to win the encounter ended in disappointment. Scott Bennett's header stayed out. Liam Sercombe had 2 attempts with the same outcome as the scoreline stayed the same. There was a scare for them as Tom Newey's flick on allowed Johnny Mullins a sight of goal, but there was to be no way through.
Is the only disappointing aspect of that you didn't get your first win of the season?
I think it was, yeah. I think we did enough to give ourselves a very good chance of winning. I never say, we should have won, because that's an element of respect needed to be given to the opposition. But we did enough to give ourselves a really good chance today, and we played really well. And I'm looking at this in the long term. If we play like that every week, we won't go too far wrong.
Burton had the inside track on York. Assistant manager Kevin Summerfield some plays for their opponents, and Luke very nearly did Dad no favours. John McLaughlin kept the leaders on level terms before Albion began to impose themselves. Michael Ingham's punch dropping to John Mousinho. Keith Lowe to City's rescue as Burton found their rhythm. And after the break, the home team took control. While Adam McGurk's shot was blocked, nothing would stop Lucas Akins. In front of goal, it wasn't going to be McGurk's afternoon. Stuart Bevan teed up his next sight of a target, but the striker was desperately unlucky. Pretty clear, though, that York's unbeaten league run of 23 matches, not including the playoffs, was in serious jeopardy. And at the end of a week which saw Gary Rowett spurn Blackpool's advances, Mousinho rammed home the message that right now, nothing is going to break Albion's stride.
It would be a very difficult game. Listen, you're talking about a team that haven't lost for something like 23 games in the regular league season. So to do what we did against them, I think shows again how potent we can be when we play well and when we do the right things. I thought there was lots and lots of excellent performances again.
High flyers Cheltenham were punished for a sluggish start at Luton. From a Scott Griffiths centre, Mark Cullen's cute header was just the tonic for a team who'd lost their last 2. But their resolve was put to the test in the second half as Cheltenham pushed hard for an equaliser. Mark Tyler dealt with Jason Taylor's searing drive before having his palms warmed by John Marquis as Cheltenham lost in the league for the first time.
We did everything but score, the chances gone across the box. Felt we could have picked a pass out a couple of times better. But like I say, we've been all about hard work and teamwork, and I'm really pleased with what I've seen after 7 games, and I know we'll bounce back.
Morecambe haven't lost at home in the league since April, thanks in large part to the ruthless efficiency of Kevin Ellison, who pounced while Plymouth pondered the goal number 5 of the season. 5-0 was the score the last time these two sides met in March, and although Plymouth couldn't reproduce that, Peter Hartley did at least pop up with a magnificent header. But Morecambe made sure they had the last word thanks to a late goal. It came 7 minutes from time and inevitably involved top scorer Ellison, who this time made the opening for Jamie Devitt. That was job done, and Morecambe are now up to second.
The 3 changes Mickey Melland made to the Shrewsbury side included a recall for Jean-Louis Akpa-Akpro. The intention was for him to bury opportunities like that. These sides filled the bottom 2 places in League One at the end of last term. Stevenage made the breakthrough as Darius Charles' shot enjoyed a huge deflection to wrong-foot keeper Jason Luteweiler. The visitors could have been on terms before the break. This time Akpa-Akpro made a decent connection, but Sam Besant was down sharply. And although Charlie Lee was denied by a spectacular save, Borough had their 3rd league win of the campaign.
Mansfield had ended a run of 3 straight defeats with victory at Exeter and were quickly into their stride. Rakesh Bingham providing an early threat at Adams Park. Matt Reed was left unopposed to head home the opener. So much space for the Stags player to make his mark. Wycombe had struggled to score at home, but when Martin Riley was penalised for handball, they had a chance to alter that. Riley was yellow-carded despite his protests, and it was left for Paul Hayes to bring Wycombe level. The match was back in the balance. Only a glaring miss prevented the home side from taking the lead. Aaron Holloway, the culprit, just a few yards out, but found wanting. In the end, it didn't matter. Peter Murphy proved the match winner for the Chairboys, and after last season's survival act, there's some encouraging signs at the Buckinghamshire club.
Mansfield are a big, physical, direct side. They're going to cause problems, and they'll pick up points this season without a doubt, playing that way. And it's hard sometimes to get, to not get drawn into a game like that. We want to get the ball down and play a little bit of stuff. But I'm so pleased that the boys took their chances when they came. I thought we created the better chances today.
Carlisle have had more than 70 applicants for their vacant manager's job. The challenge the new boss will face is growing. If Craig Jones had kept his cool, Berry wouldn't have had to wait until after half-time to establish the lead at Brunton Park, when the Cumbrians' keeper Mark Gillespie was out-jumped all too easily by Danny Rose. His 5th goal of the season, a scoring streak that's helped David Flitcroft's men put together a 6-game unbeaten run, including 4 victories. Once Jones had redeemed himself for that first-half miss, Berry looked secure, though Mark Beck could have made their afternoon less comfortable as he latched onto Dave Symington's cracking cross. Instead, the Shakers stepped up into the automatic promotion places thanks to a thoroughly convincing scoreline. Victory topped off with a flourish by Ryan Lowe, leaving Carlisle rock bottom.
By taking a bolder approach this season, Justin Edinburgh believed his Newport side would soon start seeing the benefits. Their opening to this game showed he might just be right. Chris Zabrowski ending a goal-mouthed scramble to give the Welsh club an 18th minute lead against Northampton. After losing their first 4 matches in League and Cup, Edinburgh's men are getting it together. Just past the half hour they increased their lead. Centre-back Darren Jones crashed in their second via Ryan Creswell's hefty deflection. After back-to-back wins without conceding, Northampton were in even bigger trouble when Lee Minsell flicked in Robbie Wilmot's free kick early in the second half. Despite mustering a response, Cobblers boss Chris Wilder felt his side was second best in almost every department. Substitute Lawson Diath reduced the arrears with a beauty, but they still had a mountain to climb. Throwing caution to the wind, they began throwing the bodies forward. Fullback Danny Alfai overlapped on the right and then teed up Mark Richards. 3-2 with 5 minutes left to play, but Newport saw it through to get their first home win.
I think, looking at it again, I think Northampton had nothing to lose and threw a lot of bodies forward and got a couple of goals back, but I think we were worthy of the win today.
When on loan Crystal Palace defender Jerome Binon-Williams was denied by a terrific Paul Jones save, it seemed destined to be one of those afternoons for Southend. Indeed, without a win in their last 5 matches, they were lucky to survive a scare of their own when Pompey's Miles Story beat just about everyone except Daniel Bentley. A lack of goals has been part of the problem for the Shrimpers, so there was relief all round when Barry Corr leapt like a salmon to head the home side in front. Another of Southend's loanees, Shaquille Colthurst, was a spectator until 3 minutes from the end, but the Tottenham man came off the bench to score a super individual effort. It condemned Pompey to a 3rd straight league defeat and sent Southend home happy.
Our fans, when they get behind the team, the players respond, and we did today. It was a good, strong, manful performance and a worthy win, I think.
We didn't do well enough second half. When the goal goes in, we haven't defended the set piece well enough in the first instance, and once the goal goes in, we haven't recovered well enough after that.
This was the first Football League meeting between these teams, and they served up a pulsating contest. Dagenham had the upper hand in the first period, and Jamie Curitan's inviting delivery was put away by Luke Howell. After the break, Cambridge hit back. Ryan Donaldson's accuracy with the dead ball levelled things up. A second of the season for the 23-year-old, and his influence on the contest was far from over. 7 minutes later, it was his corner that was met by Michael Nelson, the former Hibs man with his first for the U's. Richard Money's squad may be plagued by injuries, but they seized control of this game. Ryan Bird came off the bench and keeper Liam O'Brien had to be on his toes to block his acrobatic effort. The former Pompey striker wouldn't be denied for long. He won his duel with the Daggers keeper, who's now conceded 8 times in 3 games. Wayne Burnett's side still weren't finished though, and 8 minutes from time, Curitan's header came back off the woodwork for substitute George Porter to stoop and cut the deficit to 1. The hosts then threw everything at their visitors. A new signing, Adebayo Yusuf, almost grabbed a point. Keeper Chris Dunn protected the lead, and the U's had their first away win since returning to the Football League.
With James Beattie gone, Accrington Stanley had a new man at the helm. Paul Stevenson put in temporary charge. AFC Wimbledon hadn't lost away in the league. Matt Tubbs has proved a hit since joining on a season-long loan. We will wonder how he didn't open the scoring. The Don striker was causing chaos, another scoring opportunity, but one he couldn't take. And Stanley punished their opponents. Adam Buxton set up the only goal of the match, and James Gray, their leading scorer, made it a winning start for the caretaker boss with his 5th of the season.
Hartlepool hoped to build on last week's much-needed win over Shrewsbury, only for Tranmere to prove a far tougher proposition. Sold short by his defence, home goalkeeper Scott Flinders did well to charge down Cole Stockton's effort, which set the tone for his busy afternoon. Flinders on his toes again to make sure Matt Hill's free kick didn't sneak in. Rovers took maximum points in their last 2 trips to Victoria Park. This time they had to make do with a draw. As well as Flinders, the crossbar would thwart them. Abdoulaye Balbaghi added to the list of Tranmere players that finished the match frustrated.
Well, despite not playing, Nottingham Forest remain top of the Sky Bet Championship, with Norwich level on points at the top after that stunning comeback at Cardiff. Wolves are up there too after that draw at bottom club Blackpool. Fulham are back at the foot of the table after their 5th defeat of the season, and although picking up their first point of the campaign, Blackpool remain one of 3 sides without a victory alongside Bolton. Bristol City are the new leaders of League One after extending their unbeaten record. MK Dons move up to 3rd after winning an 8-goal thriller at Barnsley, and they're now the joint top scorers in the Football League, incidentally, with 14. Crewe remain bottom, but picked up their first points of the campaign against fellow strugglers Port Vale. Tony Hume's first win as Colchester manager against the odds at Leyton Orient moves them up to 21st, while the O's drop to 20th after a tough opening. Burton's sensational start continues as they stretch their lead at the top to 3 points. Pre-season title favourites Bury move up to 3rd after a 6-match unbeaten run. New Boys Cambridge move up to 6th after their first away win at this level for 9 years. While at the other end, managerless Carlisle find themselves rock bottom of the Football League after stretching their winless league run now to 13 games, and that's despite relegation, of course, last season. Oxford and Exeter drew against each other, so the bottom 3 are the only clubs in League 2 without a victory.